We got some spicy stories. The first one is everyone's favorite topic and biggest nightmare, squatters.
Yeah.
Specifically, the title here is Squatters Lock Homeowner Out of Home. It's not funny, but I do laugh as a trauma response, so you'll have to forgive me. This is coming to you from the ABC 10 News YouTube channel. I'll give you a quick summary, and we will give you some clips so that you too can experience the horrors that this particular homeowner did. Inherently, this homeowner is also a rental property owner. So she was trying to get tenants in her place. She successfully found some, but oh no, they are actually squatters. So they came into her Encinitas home, which was worth $2 million, and then locked her out and destroyed the place. Let's see some footage.
This $2 million house in Encinitas was nearly destroyed by squatters who signed a lease to pay rent but didn't, and instead moved in, put their motorcycle in the owner's studio, locked her out of her own house, damaged appliances, and destroyed the pool.
And I had countless nights of nightmares of how they're destroying my house, and they did.
It took 2 years and $250,000 to move them out. In fact, they took total control of her home, even renting part of it out on Craigslist.
I always felt like I was a criminal. I got locked out of my own house. I couldn't go get a change of clothes, toothbrush with the cops or anything. And they had drilled this fence shut, so I couldn't even just access my own space. I did jump over the fence at one point.
Police told her it was a civil matter, and they could not help or even escort her into her own home.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part is that they even nailed the fence gate shut. And then the homeowner said she did jump over it at one point. Like,
Wow.
Nailing it shut's not going to keep them out. But still, these squatters were aggressive.
Super aggressive. And it took a long time for this situation to be resolved. In fact, she said 2 years and $250,000.
Ouch.
So that is, I'm guessing, on top of the missed rent.
Yeah.
Because remember, they started as tenants and became squatters. And that's not a typical situation. Typically, squatters will just come into an unoccupied property and wreak havoc / live there illegally.
Yeah.
But in this case, I mean, it is just gratuitous. The motorcycle being parked in the living room.
Yeah. That pool that looked sentient.
The pool whose pump was broken to the degree that a neighbor filmed a clip of the sound it was making. We'll play it for you now.
She didn't know the pump was even broken until a neighbor sent her a video recording of the noise the broken pump made.
It looked like some sort of swamp monster was going to crawl out of there. I didn't know what was going to be at the bottom.
This is definitely an unusual squatter story because most squatters would like to just fly under the radar. That is squatters' rights in a nutshell, really, is just I'm going to live here and not pay anything for it and just kind of see how long it can go. But these squatters listed the property on Craigslist to become landlords to their own renters, which is, what was their end game?
Profit, I would assume, but it's really messy, and I don't know if you're the renter in that situation. If you're renting from the squatters, you don't know that they're squatters. What does that mean for you?
Yeah.
And of course, the homeowner went to the police, but they said it was a civil matter,
Yeah.
and they couldn't even escort her inside to get her clothes or any of her belongings, any of her valuables. They all just were left inside, which is horrifying.
Wild.
Yeah, truly scary. Now, in this news segment, they did discuss, they brought in an expert to talk about eviction investigation. The expert said it can take 3 months to a year
Yeah.
to resolve this kind of situation, which is shorter than it took for this actual homeowner. It took her 2 years. But it's just wild to me that this is a situation where someone can literally take over your home and you just get kicked out, and the police are like, well, I can't do anything. You need a letter of agency,
Yep.
which is the start of the eviction process.
Yep.
And that is quite horrifying.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of landlords out there, this is kind of their biggest fear is
Yeah.
the point of real estate investing is obviously to invest in the real estate. So if the real estate is then taken out from under you, what can you do? And the fact that squatters' rights exist, the comment section on this YouTube video is full of people just saying this shouldn't be legal, but it is. Squatters' rights are a thing. And, you can take fault with it, but the police saying their hands are tied, they really are. We have written a lot about squatters' rights. You can find it in our blog on TurboTenant.com. We have written about squatters' rights in every state because they actually do vary. Some states are a lot more lenient or, on the other side, cutthroat about squatters than others. This happened in California, and California does have some very complicated laws. So we've also talked about squatting situations where I know you wrote a blog a while ago about a guy who just decided to take matters into his own hands and now consults, I believe.
Yeah, he consults. He's also building up his own business around squatter hunting. So one of the ways you can sidestep these situations, kind of a weird loophole, but if you can arrange to have another tenant move in and you create a lease agreement with the other tenant, that supersedes squatters' rights. So Flash Shelton has really taken that strategy and used it to build up this business.
Yeah.
He also keeps a database of squatters where you can submit pictures and information about people who've tried to or successfully squatted in one of your properties. And he doesn't pay us to say this, but he has a consulting business. So if you want to talk to him, you can pay him money and he will talk to you about your unique situation. I cannot vouch for him. I do not vouch for him, but he does exist in this space.
He does exist. I will say, when you watch this, your first instinct is likely, why didn't she just burst in there and tell them they got to leave because she owns the place? Or, run in with threats of violence or play incredibly loud death metal until they all leave. Well, this is called a self-help eviction, and it's actually illegal in pretty much every state. So that is not advised. Even the way Flash Shelton is doing it is like kind of close to it sounds like to a self-help eviction. Don't do that. Don't take those matters into your own hands. Your goal should be to never get these people in there in the first place. And what is the best way to keep that from happening?
The best way to do that is to, of course, screen your tenants. And specifically, when you're going through the tenant screening process, don't just settle for looking at their screening report. I want you to reach out to at least a few of their previous landlords and ask questions about what kind of tenants they were. So Brandon Turner says he reaches out to 2 to 3 just to get a feel for who that tenant was to those landlords, and then that helps him discern whether or not they'll be good tenants for him. So take it really seriously. This is something that the homeowner said as well. She said she wished that she had screened them better.
Yep.
We don't want this to be you. So screen your tenants. And if you're worried about squatters, just make sure that you either keep eyes on your property, drive by every so often if you're local, or that you know the neighbors and they can tell you if strange cars start parking there, if lights are on when no one's home, things of that nature, so that you can nip this in the bud.
Absolutely. Yeah, as Krista mentioned, having a lease agreement in place is one of the best ways to keep a squatter from moving in and having any kind of right to your property. Because if you have an actual active tenant, then they have no claim to squat there. So make sure you've got your place rented out and make sure that the renter is not a crazy person.
That always helps.
That always helps.